I'm not going down. We got to win this ball game. And I just kept telling myself that, and I put that in the back of my mind, and I went out there with determination to win.
All right, good afternoon. That was Hassan Haskins after Saturday's Michigan win over Ohio State. That audio is still top of mind after the victory over the Buckeyes over the weekend. We're pleased to get things underway here on this last day of November, the Maize and Blue Review. And we have a special guest here for the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight. It's the National Recruiting Director for Rivals and Yahoo, Adam Gorney, who joins us. If you're watching on the screen, you see him right there. And we say good afternoon to him. How are you, Adam?
Doing great. If they're watching me, there goes the viewership, I think.
I had to change my shirt right before I came on. I had some water. I poured it right down the front, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, this isn't going to go over really well. But everything else has been going really well around here, and it goes back to Saturday, Adam. And it just – I know, of course, it's a huge story around here, but I've noticed not even in the Midwest, across the country, it seemed like it was the number one story out of a jam-packed Thanksgiving sports weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michigan really won that Saturday. The Auburn-Alabama game was interesting. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and all the backdrop of that was interesting, and what has happened with Lincoln Riley. But really, Michigan and the job they did, not only winning that game, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like they won on a last-second luck play. They really dominated up front. They out-physicaled Ohio State. It was clear Ohio State couldn't figure it out, couldn't figure out what to do. Michigan had a great scheme coming into that game. They operated it. They did everything possible to impress every recruit there. And it really was, from the recruits that I've talked to, it really wasn't just the game. It was the atmosphere, the post-game incredible atmosphere that they're going to remember for a long time. Now the job is for Harbaugh and his staff to translate that into commitments. And no one could have asked for a better Saturday in Ann Arbor.
That job, translating it into commitments where, tomorrow is December 1st, the 15th is that early signing period. Would you expect a win like this could pay dividends as early as this particular class, or are you thinking it's 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps 2023 more. But I wouldn't count out closing strong here. And Saturday was huge. It's definitely a massive step in the right direction. But this Saturday is also important. Winning that game and then seeing your name on that bracket in the Final Four is going to be huge for recruiting. Kids are gonna see that and really get interested in it. I think that is a massive opportunity as well. So last Saturday, the win needs to be built on heading into the Iowa game here.
I don't know if we've seen a 2-week run up to signing day like this, where you just have these huge vacancies and the chess pieces moving around like they are, with Lincoln Riley going west and now Brian Kelly going south, and we don't know who else is going to be in there. But I know a lot of fan bases, Michigan's included, looking over there at Notre Dame, and looking over at Oklahoma, but specifically right down, I'd say down the road, to South Bend, and thinking, there's a couple guys, two have come to mind, one out of Grand Rapids, one out of Traverse City, that committed to Notre Dame that, I would think that Michigan would be making some calls to.
Absolutely. And, Notre Dame at some point will name a coach and there'll be some stability there. But, we're talking about, Josh Burnham and Nolan Ziegler, and those guys will definitely take a look. And there's just no doubt about it that in the Michigan recruiting department right now, they're trying everything possible to go after those guys and other guys and anybody that they want and missed out on. A lot of those guys are going to Notre Dame for a lot of reasons. One of them was Brian Kelly. He's no longer there. We don't know exactly how that's going to play out over the next few weeks in terms of which coach, if they're going to go Freeman, if they're going to try to bring in Fickle or Campbell, however that's going to work. But this is again, and I keep saying this word, but this is another massive recruiting opportunity for them to go and pick apart some of those guys that, Michigan offers a lot of the same stuff that Notre Dame does academically. And now stability at the coaching level, that will be important. I don't know if they can flip them, but they're certainly going to try.
Is there a coach in mind that you think that is able to keep? I mean, they've got Rivals top 5. I looked top 4 team ranking as we sit here in the last day of November, is it like looking towards the defensive coordinator there, Marcus Freeman? You say, hey, he's the stability guy. Like if they go off the board, I wouldn't think they would go off the board. I think they would, come in with a pretty big name. But is Freeman offer the most stability there for Notre Dame?
It's interesting because he also offers the most risk. I mean, he has no head coaching experience. He's not like a Notre Dame lifer. So it's definitely interesting. I think from a recruiting standpoint, he would be able to come in and aggressively go after those guys, kind of continue, a defensive mindset there and bring in coaches around him. But that is going to be an interesting thing if they want to go after Fickell, if he's very interested in that job. The names I've heard are Luke Fickell and Matt Campbell. Of course, they're mentioned for every single job in the country, but for these jobs, they make sense. If there's some outlandish situation or scenario where Urban Meyer finally has the job that he always really wanted, then all bets are off, because then Notre Dame becomes the primo spot in the entire country. I don't see that happening. I just cannot see. I just won't allow my mind to wrap itself around something like that. So Freeman probably is the choice right now. It certainly is a fine one, but it does bring some added risk. Fickell, Campbell, either way, a lot of those kids are going to end up going to Notre Dame because they always wanted to go to Notre Dame and because it's still Notre Dame. But there's no chance better than now for a lot of these schools, including Michigan, to go in there and get the guys that they want.
It is the Maize and Blue Review, TMBR. Just a minute or two more here with Adam Gorney, the National Recruiting Director for Rivals and Yahoo Sports. I see Antoine here asking a question, asking any word on the recruits. I bet they like the game. Anybody specifically? I saw that you had a rumor mill, Ethan Burke, who's a defensive end out of Texas. He said, he liked the atmosphere. There's some quotes in there from a lot of other guys from down the line here, but anybody that jumped out that was at the game and what they had to say about it?
Yeah, when I talk to guys after visits, and I do this, weekly, a lot of them say they loved it, had a great time. Okay, well, is Texas now the front runner? No, it's still just looking at everybody. But when I talk to all these guys, I'm telling you, it became like a lot of them became very highly interested in what's going on there. Zeke Berry commits later this week. I think Michigan is in a very good spot with him. A lot of the guys that didn't even make it. I mean, Samaj Morgan was there and had, said Michigan's the front runner. Deacon Tonelli is another guy that said they're the front runner now. Luke Montgomery couldn't make it because he got, a minor injury in basketball, but his 2025 quarterback brother was there with his dad. They said it was like the best experience of their life. Joe Crocker absolutely loved it. Anthony James is committed to Texas A&M, but he has family in Flint, and he said that he absolutely loved it. I think Michigan closed the space between themselves and Ohio State with AJ Hoffler. We saw Joel Starlings commit. Down the line, everybody that I talked to about this game was not just like, yeah, I had a great time, Michigan's on the list. It was like, yeah, I had a great time, and that is now my favorite team, and that's the team to beat heading into the offseason. So, some of that might settle out, and as visits happen and all those kinds of things happen, we'll see how it plays out. But Michigan did a phenomenal job getting a lot of kids on campus. It was an incredible environment. And they won the game. And like I said, it's not just winning the game. It's the complete atmosphere around campus and the stadium and the field being packed after the game and everybody sitting there singing and just soaking in that environment was incredibly rare. And a lot of kids are going to jump on it.
Two quick hitters for you, Adam, before we let you go and pick up the phone or jump on the computer or all the other things that you do all day long. Damani Jackson, I got to ask you about him. They corner out of California, decommitted from USC. You got Lincoln Riley coming in there. He did decommit after he went to the Alabama LSU game, but he was at the Michigan Ohio State game. So I don't know. Is it a 3-horse race? Where does Michigan fit in there with Jackson?
If I'm wrong, I will come back on here and apologize, and you can throw eggs. But I would say right now Alabama is the team to beat. By a pretty decent margin. USC is intriguing and appealing back to him because of Lincoln Riley, but we're going to see if Dante Williams is retained on that staff. I don't think that's an actual slam dunk anymore. So There had been some rumors that Lincoln is going to come in and completely clean house and bring in all of his own people. That will be interesting to see how that happens. He is super, super close to Dante Williams. So if he's retained in any sort of sense, I think USC would still have an opportunity. Here's the thing. I was at Damani Jackson's playoff game last weekend. It was 65 degrees out. He was in a winter coat and did not look all that thrilled about the weather. So I think that's part of it. I actually think that's part of it. The other part is he has had so many opportunities to go to Michigan if he wanted to already. I mean, he and Will Johnson had the big house completely to themselves. He didn't flip that weekend. He was back this weekend, and I know he's waiting until signing day. If that environment this weekend didn't convince him for him to pick Michigan on signing day, I don't know what would. I think once he went to Alabama, he was sold that he can get to the NFL the best way through Alabama. I have to pick a school. I'm picking Alabama right now. I swear, if I'm wrong, I come back and I apologize.
Yeah, well, if you're wrong and it's Michigan, forget the eggs. They'll be sending you flowers and candy.
Right.
My last thing for you here, I mentioned the craziness with the coaches and the possibility of flips here. I mean, you anticipate over these next 2 weeks that there is going to be a lot of activity there with guys decommitting and going elsewhere, like, Michigan.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. It always happens. It seems like we've gotten a jump start on a lot of that stuff. We'll see how it happens over the next 2 weeks or so. But it's undoubtedly going to happen where assistant coaches are going to leave. Some guys are going to take NFL jobs. Some guys from the NFL are going to come down. We'll see what happens with a lot of the USC stuff. Oklahoma still needs to name a coach. There's going to be movement all over the place. And that's just how it is before signing day. It feels like, I swear the last 48, 72 hours has felt like constant signing day already. I mean, it's just been so busy with all these coaching changes, tons of decommitments, a lot of commitments, a lot of rumors about guys flipping and going elsewhere and following Brian Kelly to LSU or not, or who's going to get the Notre Dame job. There's just so much to juggle. Usually like the weekend before signing day into that Wednesday. And now it feels like for 2 weeks, it's going to be like this.
Tell you what, it's the anti-Damani Jackson take, but I was running around with a T-shirt and shorts on Saturday and all day Sunday here in the snow in Michigan. Adam, we appreciate your time. We're running the special down there for Rivals.com, the promo code Rivals 2021. I'll just tell people, like, you go to our message boards, you see like the recruiting mill that you posted there yesterday with tons of information. I enjoyed that. And it kept me afloat here for the last 24 hours, thinking about the possibilities of who may be coming in, if not in 2 weeks, next year at this time. So we appreciate your time and your work, and we'll talk with you down the line. Have a fun 2 weeks here.
All right. Awesome, Dennis. Thanks, man.
All right. See you later. There he is, Adam Gorney, the National Recruiting Director for Rivals. First time been able to talk with him. And I'm going to say it's not going to be the last. Bringing him in, talking a little recruiting, and yeah, how quickly it's able to happen for Michigan after what happened on Saturday. Michigan already did. Like, I think the best commitment that Michigan got was a 5-star wide receiver by the name of Ronnie Bell. Now, he didn't come in as a 5-star. Was Ronnie Bell even a 3-star? But he came in, but he said earlier this week, heck, I know we're only here on Tuesday, so maybe it was on Sunday, over the weekend, that he was coming back. So, as far as I'll put that in with the recruiting cycle about Michigan being able to get him back. That was no slam dunk for me with Bell coming back, but that definitely was some great news here for the Wolverines. All right, so we started out with the Michigan recruiting spotlight here at the start every day. I look at some aspect of recruiting, and it's usually towards the back half of this particular broadcast, but we started out right out of the gate here. I see Antoine having some fun here on the YouTube feedback. Let's see what Antoine is saying here. Lincoln Riley will have all the power and resources in USC that he needs to be a powerhouse, not to mention an easy conference. Yeah, Antoine, not to mention, did you see that contract that he got, whatever it was, $100 million? They're going to buy his house and give him an extra $1 million or $2 million for the houses that he has in Norman. Oh, by the way, here's $6 million for your house in Southern California. Here's a plane anytime you want it. Here's $110 million. I mean, yeah, that. And you know what? You're right. Like going to the SEC, like maybe he was thinking about LSU or staying in Oklahoma. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa. You're coming in and having to play with a lot of big dogs. Out in California, not a lot of big dogs. You get that little dog in Oregon and the one across town in UCLA, but man, the way that Lincoln Riley's already recruited in California, and you know what? You don't need a jacket there. You just leave your jackets behind. I don't know if you need them in Norman either, but yeah, you're right. I get that move. He's going to have he's talking recruiting here. They'll go after Notre Dame's recruiting while the leadership is down. Yeah, there's a couple guys there. Ziegler, the 4-star athlete from Grand Rapids, I'm sure his phone has been ringing. Same thing with the linebacker, Burnham, out of Traverse City, TC, making a drive up there or doing whatever you can. Say, hey, why are you going to Notre Dame? Who knows what's going to happen there? And then one other guy from that Notre Dame class, an athlete, Notre Dame verbal, a Morian Walker, also a name to at least have on the radar there as you think about the uncertainty of what's going on in South Bend. Got some more feedback here. Here's Christian. He missed the show yesterday. Well, you know what, Christian, if you missed it yesterday, just go to YouTube or go to the podcast, and it's right there. It's right there. Christian is only 23. First time Michigan hasn't let him down in his lifetime. Pure euphoria post game. Yeah, Christian, you know what? It has stayed that way. The shine has not worn off from Saturday. I talked about it yesterday, but Sunday waking up was great. Not something I anticipated. I wasn't going in thinking, I'm going to wake up. It's just going to be a great day Sunday. I mean, it was a great Saturday, but it was a great Sunday. I watched the game yesterday morning, almost all of it, and it was a great rewatch. And and here I am on a Tuesday, still feeling pretty good. Pure euphoria is a good way to put it. Also, you get this week in this the Big Ten championship game, you do realize that as great as that was, and it's the thing in sports, you just always want more. I want more. I loved it. There's nothing really like that. Was the best performance I've ever seen from a Michigan football team. Now, the greatest game ever, it's up there. What can make it? And it stands on its own, beating Ohio State from all the circumstances and everything. But what can make it even better is if Michigan validates it with a Big Ten championship. Then you're like, wow. And then what would even make it better is than anything beyond that. So it's and everybody can look at it any way they want. It's all gravy now, or got to win the Big Ten, or got to get to the. I mean, you're getting to the college football playoff. It seems it's in their grasp. Well, let's go through a little bit of that. I love the feedback. Keep it coming. I see Antoine is throwing some more up here, and I think I don't know if I got all of them or not. I'm trying to go through them. Yeah, I think I got all of those. You can always send that feedback in there, and I'll put it up on the screen. Some of the sound here. Jim Harbaugh was asked yesterday about the Hawkeyes, and here's what the head coach at Michigan, who gave back his bonus. They got a bonus for beating Ohio State, $500,000, gave it back for Michigan employees who had some of their salaries taken away because of the pandemic. Nice move by Jim Harbaugh. Here's what he had to say about the Hawkeyes yesterday.
I've been ranked number 2. They've had a tremendous season. Now you watch what they've done week in and week out, and they have a clear understanding of what they are and who they are. And so it's going to take the same kind of preparation. So how does that help us going forward? Just understanding that's the level mentally, physically, spiritually have to prepare for a great team.
Mentally, physically, spiritually. He said that more than once in yesterday's press conference. Mentally, physically, spiritually. So he's got the three things going there. I was looking at some of those Hawkeye numbers. 10th with 26 points per game in the Big Ten. That ranks 10th in the conference. So not a very good offense, but a pretty good defense. Number 1 in the Big Ten in defensive efficiency for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm surprised that their rushing attack wasn't better. Tyler Goodson is a heck of a running back. To me, he's the key to the Hawkeyes offense, and the key really for the Michigan defense. Zero in on that guy. I can tell you if they I'd feel pretty good if Goodson is under 100 scrimmage yards, that Michigan's going to come away with the victory. I feel pretty good anyways. Michigan, with all the championship games coming up, championship Saturday, they are the biggest favorite out of any of them. But yeah, Hawkeyes with a pretty good defense, but offensively, not so much. Number 1 in the Big Ten in defense efficiency for Kirk Ferentz's team. And do we have more audio? We do. If you missed this, speaking of recruiting, a lot of talk with name, image, and likeness and what teams are doing, putting together the different packages and sending them up to recruits that come in, thinking about the future, not only with, a scholarship and what they're going to do on the football field, but other things. We had a former Wolverine, Jared Wangler, on yesterday. And here's what Jared had to say about name, image, and likeness.
What we've been building out over the last 6 months. And what we like, the month of December, I'll tell just everyone be prepared. The month of December will be really fun for NIL with Michigan. There'll be some cool announcements being made. But Michigan's embracing it, but we're not going out and just doing these one-off deals with car dealerships and making it seem like we're giving kids free cars, because that's not what NIL is about. There's a lot of opportunity for student athletes to be compensated for what they do on the field. And being at a place like the University of Michigan with the biggest brand in college sports, there's going to be some trickle down and really good opportunities for the student athletes. So just, everybody there'll be some cool announcements coming soon.
Cool announcements coming soon. That's what you like to hear. That's from a Michigan standpoint. Antoine's not scared of Alabama. The only team in our way is Georgia. Yeah, look, Michigan could play any number of teams still. Let's say Alabama beat Georgia. Georgia's going to fall out of that top spot. Maybe they'd go to 3, maybe Michigan, Georgia in that first round. Yeah, that would be the one first round matchup you wouldn't want. But as I sit here right now, I'll take any matchup. I would like the easiest one, but it means that I'm already, there. And, you already have a Big Ten championship. So, yeah, but if you want to get greedy and look at the matchups, then Georgia beats Alabama. Is the stinking committee going to keep a 2-loss Alabama team in there? They're not going to put them 3 and have them taking on Michigan. Or would they? Because they wouldn't want a rematch of Georgia, Alabama. What if it's a great game? What if Georgia, Alabama is just this tremendous game and Georgia wins? Would they put Alabama there at 4 and get a rematch on New Year's Eve of that particular game? Maybe. Oklahoma State. I think Notre Dame with Brian Kelly leaving, they might just say, hey, Irish, whoop. Who cares? You guys don't get the juice of a championship game? I think it could be Oklahoma State sitting in there. I'd hate to see Cincy get passed up by a 2-loss team in Bama. That seems crazy. But it's exciting to talk about, Antoine, that's for sure. We'll get some more sound in here. Christian talking about beating OSU. He feels like this weekend is a chance for Harbaugh to show the page has been turned for the program. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, look, you always want more. And the obsession, because they've been the biggest roadblock to everything that you want, has been Ohio State. But now that that dragon has been slayed, you do see all the benefits beyond. It's like when my kids were younger, maybe still now, when you're going on a long trip, you got the car, it's all packed, you're ready to go. As soon as you get in, are we there yet? Well, Michigan's got the car. They're in there, and you know what? They're not there yet. They got some traveling to do here, but they've got the car underneath them. I don't know. Maybe not a good analogy. That was the one I was thinking of today going through it, but I hear you. Oh, yeah, Antoine's saying because of the money with Notre Dame. You know, it's about the attractiveness of the game. I think that's what the bowl committee, like, they want to go with the game that's going to be the most popular for the eyeballs. And what's the game that's going to get the most ratings? So maybe that's what, maybe that's to your point. Is Cincinnati, Georgia, or Michigan, Georgia, or Michigan, Notre Dame? Good point, Antoine. I take it out with Brian Kelly. That committee wants to put Notre Dame in there. They'll put Notre Dame in there. Now, I want to see Michigan, Notre Dame. Like I said, I want to see Michigan, Cincy. I want to see Michigan, Notre Dame. Michigan, Cincy would remind me of the Fab Five when they took Cincinnati out in the Final Four to get to the championship game, if you remember that. Nick Van Exel's team. I know it's basketball and football, but it's Cincinnati. And then a Michigan, Notre Dame. How about that? Not playing them for another, 12 years or something. It might even be more than that. 15 years. Whatever that schedule is, the next time the natural enemies are going to get together on a scheduled game. But having them play in the college, that's all cart in front of the horse stuff, but not so much where you can't at least talk about some of those matchups. I know. 0 in on the Hawkeyes. Michigan, the team, the coaches and the players, they definitely need to 0 in on the matchup. Me, I don't need to 0 in so much on it. I get it. I mean, you start talking too much about something else and that doesn't happen. But I'll talk a little bit about it. More feedback, more sound. Lagartha, their defensive stats are meaningless. They only played Penn State. They've had a very favorable schedule. Didn't play Ohio State, Michigan State, or Michigan. Good point. I don't know about meaningless. I mean, the Hawkeyes got a pretty good defense. Like, I don't know, number one overall in defensive efficiency that jumped out as I looked at the stats. Yeah, Michigan is a 10.5-point favorite for a reason. Michigan has the largest spread of any game in the championship Saturday out there. So, you should be supremely confident in everything else. But you know what? I've seen an Iowa team now. They don't have to play them in Iowa City. That's good. But if we just remember in 2016, Michigan just needed to, beat the Hawkeyes. And in the fourth quarter, both the offense, defense, and special teams, all those. But it's 2016. It's 2021. Come on. What are we talking about here? A little MB, a little trash talking I don't mind a little trash talking towards the Hawkeyes. Antoine can't stand Notre Dame. It's more of, here's Alan. Should we be worried of a letdown? I can see how tough it would be to get up after such a big win. I think there will be a little bit of a letdown. You can tell these guys as much as you want. That's not Ohio State over there. But even with a letdown, I mean, it's still, I think, a reminder. I don't know how they position it to the players, but like, do you need to grab on and say, Michigan hasn't won a Big Ten since 2004? 2004. I think I had some hair back in 2004. So yeah, it's been a long time, and I feel good about the game. It's going to be a great weekend. Last weekend was great. This week, sports-wise, look at everything going on in sports. You got baseball free agency. You got some cool basketball this week, including Michigan, North Carolina. When's that game? Thursday night. You got Michigan, San Diego State. On Saturday, Saturday's loaded. Saturday, if you're a sports fan, if you have somebody that's not, you just tell them, you say, yeah, from noon to midnight, I'm good. Just put me down and let me go. I'm all set there. All right, a little bit more sound here. Christian talking about that letdown game if it was a regular season game, but this one's for all the marbles. Christian, it's a great point. It is a great point. What other audio do I have here? Aiden Hutchinson named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I've kept this sound in the system because I just can't get enough of it. This was Aiden Hutchinson on the field with Fox's Jenny Taft after the game on Saturday.
This is the best moment of my life. I manifested it. I'm here with my family, with my teammates on this glorious day that we just beat Ohio State.
There you go. That's it. And one more from the In Case You Missed It file. The Rich Eisen Show. Rich, an alum of Michigan. He had Bruce Feldman on from The Athletic, and he asked Bruce Feldman about his thoughts on the Michigan win over Ohio State. Thanks to the Rich Eisen Show for this audio.
There's a lot of people who have had to eat crow because they had written off Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
They either forgot what he did at Stanford and the Niners, or they just thought he had kind of lost his way, right? And I think he deserves credit for this first and foremost. He reshuffled his staff. Josh Gaddis, really young offense coordinator, has done a really good job. Mike McDonald, who almost nobody heard of before when he was on John's staff as an assistant with the Ravens, has been a fantastic addition, right? And so those are young guys who have played well. I think the thing that impressed me the most was watching the game. They, we have Charles Woodson on our show at Fox talking about, like, I think people felt like this needed to be Villanova against Georgetown because, Ohio State's offense is unbeatable and everything. And it didn't need to be Villanova, Georgetown, where they had to play a perfect game, right? We saw McNamara throw the pick. I'm sure you're wincing on your couch when you saw that.
Yes.
Got momentum, it goes away. And the reality was they were the more physical team. This felt in a lot of ways like what Jim Harbaugh did to people when he was at Stanford. He ran it down their throats.
Yes.
I thought Gaddis did a really good job. He implemented a bunch of stuff that his buddy Joe Moorhead, the offense coordinator at Oregon, did when they whipped Ohio State and Columbus in September. They exploited a lot of issues on the defensive side of the ball, where, quite honestly, Ohio State is very shaky. The other thing that I think was, really impressive, not just Aiden Hutchinson, but both defensive ends really got after them.
Jabo, yeah.
And
Jabo, by the way,
Yeah, there you go. There's a little Rich Eisen for you with Bruce Feldman. By the way, Bruce Feldman mentioning some openings for the Temple job. And on a list of 4 or 5 guys, Michigan Mike Hart. He's from upstate New York. I don't have the story right in front of me, but I did see Mike Hart's name on that short list that Bruce Feldman from The Athletic put out about the coaching vacancy for Temple. You don't want to lose Mike Hart, but you'll also know that Mike Hart is one day going to be a head coach. So, and the other thing, there's not many black head coaches in college football. I mean, Mike Hart, you congratulate him if he goes. If he takes that opportunity, you want him to stay around. There's a lot of guys on this staff right now. The way Sharon Moore, you say looks like a head coach. I mean, he's got a presence about him, and Mike Hart does too. You say, "What? I want to know if the guy's a good coach." Well, he is a good coach, but the presence part, if you haven't watch when Sharon Moore, stands up there at the podium. He's a good-looking guy. He has a presence about him, and when he talks, he's got a captivating way about him. He's good. So he looks like he's a future head coach. Mike McDonald, I don't know. Mike McDonald's having a fabulous year, or had saved the Michigan State game. He's had a pretty good year. He's a young guy, but he's 33 years old. I don't know. I think he would stay around a little bit more. Josh Gaddis is on the short list, is one of the finalists for the Broyles Award, given to the most outstanding coordinator in college football. Yeah, it's all good, man. That's what happens when you have a successful season. Guys get a lot of awards. Guys on the staff start getting mentioned for openings. That all, comes with the territory. So that's all good. I mean, look at the coaching carousel, spinning around, going crazy. Look at Jim Harbaugh. A month ago, we were talking about, he had his salary slashed, and Michigan's got him on the cheap. Now, you know what? Jim Harbaugh wins that game on Saturday. He gets $1 million bonus. Maybe he'll give that to the university, but you know what? The university's going to have to say, hey, Jim, you know, the lifetime contract, you know, here, whatever you want, you know, you can have it. So he's given back the money. It's all good for Jim Harbaugh. It was great for Harbaugh on Saturday. It'll be even that much better if Harbaugh gets the W coming up on Saturday. There you go. Trying to read and talk at the same time. I think that is the audio that we have for you. I do have, I'll read some of the feedback here. I also have one last thing to get to. It is the memorabilia minute. And I was struggling quickly. I was running around here. I had to get a different shirt on. And I said, I don't even know if I have anything for the memorabilia minute, but I did find something. And it comes for you youngsters. Michigan used to give out, you know, I used to have business cards. Michigan used to give out business cards of their schedule. And I don't know about collecting them, but if you're going to have 2 schedule cards from Michigan back in the day, which ones did you want? Exactly. You would want 1997, the Michigan schedule card. And what's the next one you would want? You would want the 97 one. Let's see here. They're beat up. I don't even know why they're in this the case. But there is the 97 schedule. You can see it. Michigan ran the table. Started with beating Colorado. And there it is, that Ohio State game, November 22nd. My favorite game that I've ever been to. 97 was not that great schedule-wise because they lost those. Actually, I have to put it up there where you can read it. They lost those first 2 games at Notre Dame and against Syracuse. That was Donovan McNabb. You know who the quarterback of that team was? Tom Brady. There it is, the memorabilia minute. Back to the feedback here. Alan likes the memorabilia. Thanks. First time anybody's ever mentioned the memorabilia minute here. Antoine, as long as Jim Harbaugh doesn't play scary conservative football, Michigan will be good. Well, you know what, Antoine, you say that, and it reminds me of watching the game against Ohio State. You can make a case that Michigan was ultra conservative against the Buckeyes. How many times did they run or throw the ball in the fourth quarter? Not much. I mean, it was run. But when you're going 9-7, 17, and you're just pushing the pile forward, I'm all right. You know, if Michigan wants to come out and ground and pound their way to a Big Ten title, I'm here for it. You know, back on, what was it, September 11th, when Michigan beat Washington in the night game and they ran for 345 yards and 55 carries. I remember it was it 10-0 at the half? And they came out in the third quarter, and the first handoff was, or the first play was a handoff. People were groaning. I don't know if they're absolutely booing, but they ended up getting a first down there and kind of took the ball down the field. But people were ready to see a passing there. They weren't wrapping their arms around the ground and pound. And then I remember, not the next game against Northern Illinois, but the Rutgers game. Michigan led that game 20-0 at the half. They came out and they had 4 3-and-outs in the second half against the Scarlet Knights. The first series, Michigan had pretty good field position. I think it was actually even in Rutgers territory, but they were faced with a 3rd and 13, and they ran the ball. I was booing on that one, but you know what? It's one of those things. You can be conservative. Is conservatives running the ball, right? If you're having a little bit of success running the ball, Michigan's a play action team. Like, if you're saying, like, Christian and Antoine, do you think that Michigan should come out and play a go with a pass happy attack against the Hawkeyes. Let's come out. Let's throw to set up the run. Let's change up. No, I think the 1-2 punch of Corum and Hassan Haskins, I think that that's what they'll feature, and they'll play off of that. And I think they should do that. So I'm not. I think that sounds good. The conservative talk now. Oh, if you're talking about Georgia, that's a little bit different. If Michigan matches up with Georgia, do I think that Michigan should come out and say, "Hey, we're going to script our first 10 plays. We're going Haskins left, Corum right, Haskins up the middle, throw the ball to Donovan Edwards out of the backfield, back to Haskins." No, they'll have to throw it a little bit. They, take on the Dogs. I can't wait if that's going to be I can't wait to start talking about a college football playoff. The Big Ten championship will be great if Michigan wins on Saturday. Part of it being great is being able to continue on and play the next game. And even though I would want them to play the following week, so they're playing this is December 4th, this Saturday. I would rather have them coming back and playing on December 11th. I wouldn't mind then having them play on December 18th. I know how long it is when the Super Bowl has an extra week in there. I'm like, come on, man, I'm missing football. I want to see it. If Michigan wins on Saturday, they're not only going to have to wait the 1 week to the 11th, to 2 weeks. They got to wait to the college football playoffs on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, 2021, Michigan, Cincinnati. All right. I'm here for any of the matchups. Michigan, Georgia. We'll see. Michigan, Iowa first. All right. Thanks to Adam Gorney from Rivals for joining us to talk some recruiting. I'll have a recruiting show coming up later on today on the Maize and Blue Review. Tomorrow, speaking of Bruce Feldman from The Athletics, Nick Baumgartner. I'm going to put a message into Nick, see if he'll join us on the afternoon live tomorrow at 1. Nick right now is breaking down the tape and breaking down the film. So we'll get to that on tomorrow's show. Antoine's telling me I'm reading the comments backwards. Hey, Lion's going to have to pick up the slack. Yeah, thanks, Christian. Sorry about that, Antoine. I need a producer. Antoine, maybe you could be the producer and you could throw the comments in there and then we can digest them. What I really need is like one of those digital text to voice where I could hit Antoine's feedback and then it would say, as long as Jim doesn't play scary conservative. I don't know if Antoine sounds that way, or maybe I'll just figure out how to get how to take calls. That can happen. That's on the list for 2022. Let's take some calls on the Maize and Blue Review. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care. This is the end of this broadcast. I'll hit the sounder, and I'll talk at you tomorrow.